explain a little bit about the car that I bought. The 70 Charger was, I guess, used as a parts car many years ago. The guy that had it originally, or that at that point, was planning on trying to, I guess, pull whatever parts he could off it, and he was going to scrap the rest and crush it. I guess a friend of his ended up realizing that the car shouldn't be crushed, bought it from him, and just kept it in a shed or a barn for many years. There was rots all along the bottom of the car, floor pans need to be replaced, certain braces, the trunk has a decent amount of damage to it from rust. So you're going to see me kind of going through and cutting out most of that and trying to get everything I can replaced to try to help, I guess, bring back the car essentially from the dead, because it has no life right now. I'll throw some pictures up of the car, and you can kind of see that it has quite a bit of rust. It doesn't look very good. The entire car looks like it was originally F5 green. It was an automatic bucket seat car, but since had been repainted in a flat white. It looks like house paint almost, and there's no interior. There's holes in all the floors, and it's a lot of work. It has obviously the 440 that is not original, the guy included. But I'm going to be doing I'm going to keep the 440. My goal for mine is trying to get it switched over to a 4-speed. I'll throw a 4-speed transmission in it, so I'm going to have to redo the floor appropriately to mate that up. And then really beyond that, I'm trying to decide still. I'm still quite a ways away from getting obviously that built to that point. So we'll see. But I know no matter what, I still got to tackle the rust. So that's going to be probably what the first couple things you'll see is of me trying to at least get the body to the point of being able to take paint. Cut away the floors originally by using a cutoff wheel and an air chisel. It's a good time to do any frame or rail repair if you need to. Using a wire wheel on a grinder, you can access and grind away any rust that's still on the frames. Using an air chisel can remove any of the remaining spot welds very easily.
I did the wheel well one, so I got it from back here on this side. Man, we got the patch on that.
Yep. So we still have to patch on that frame or that rail. But given by how that went, that's not. I mean, I don't think that's going to be much of an issue.
You think that's okay?
Yeah, I do.
You can't tell it's there.
I would tell you if I think if it wasn't, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'd have cut it out already if it wasn't.
So patching, doing a similar patch to that, back on that frame.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be too hard.
Right here. And here.
Yep.
These we can fill.
Those will be
fill.
yeah.
Fill. Only because that is there. A shackle. But yeah, we got to grind all this. We can cut that off, you know.
Yeah.
Cut that.
We're gonna have to patch that well. That wheel well.
Huh?
We're gonna have to patch that wheel well.
Yeah. What we'll do is we'll take a piece of cardboard and get the template.
Yeah, and then
Draw it on the metal.
and cut it out.
Cut it out.
Yeah.
I think we'll be fine with that.
Go ahead and get yourself a good clean rag. We're gonna take acetone as a paint prep for the encapsulator. We're gonna do a heavy coat on this. Be real generous with it since it's gonna evaporate quickly. And it's gonna do a very good just job in cleaning this metal so this encapsulator is gonna be able to stick and convert any rust that's left into a metal. So as you can tell, very generous. Now, on top of this applicator, what you will need is some way of applying it. Now, what you can do is two things. Number one, you can get a brush or a foam pad like this, and you can use that. Or you can put it in a spray gun, reduce it down slightly, and then spray it. We're gonna spray the inside, but underneath where the frame is and things like that, we're not going to. It gets everywhere, and we're just not in an environment right now where it's going to be easy to spray. So I'm going to be using these foam applicators to get in where we need to, and then we can take an airbrush or something later on and touch up some smaller areas inside of cracks and crevices before we seam seal everything up. So let's see what we can do with these. Also, you're getting a lot. I went to Harbor Freight, which is a discount auto parts and tool place here in the States, and I picked up a bunch of these. They're gonna get very brittle, and what happens is as this dries, it actually gets really tacky and it will rip the pad apart. So just have a lot on hand. You're gonna need them. Make sure you start bottom side of the rail first. I made the mistake on this other rail over there, and then I'm trying to not lay in anything that drips down, which you're gonna have a lot if you're doing it the same way I am. So I'll show you. We'll start on the bottom of the rail, so everything that drips you're not laying in. All these on the side that you can access by not having to be directly underneath compared to when you paint this. Right, well, what we did was we dry fitted all the panels in the 70 Charger on the interior, on the floor, starting from right behind the firewall all the way back to essentially the rear seat. So there's 4 pieces total. This is one of the smallest ones. But what we did was we laid it down and then went underneath the car and with essentially like a piece of chalk and just drew out where all the braces were and where we know the spot welds will occur from this panel going onto the onto each of the frames. What's going to happen then is we went on top. Then we knew where our lines were. Took a yellow paint pen and just kind of dabbed every 1.5 inches where a spot weld needs to occur, or roughly. So you can kind of see that there are a few areas where we maybe missed the mark slightly, but we're pretty close, especially like down here, as you can tell. So then what ended up occurring then is we took a, we started with a 3/8. It was too big, so we went one step down and took a drill bit and just drilled out every single hole. So other than that, I'm going through now with just a little rotary sander here, touching up every single spot so it has a good weld point. I'm going to do the bottom, taking off all the burrs, doing all that. I will put on a weld through primer on it to cover up where I'm exposing the bare metal and making sure that I can still get a good weld on it. And then hopefully within the next couple days we'll start getting these tacked in, and I should have at least a floor, a solid floor, probably within the next 72 hours. So we'll see. How's it looking?
Good. Got a majority of all those. It's solid though, it ain't going nowhere.
I think that's the point.
Yeah. Some of it, I guess.
So once you're done, the metal should be smooth to the touch. Shouldn't feel any major dips or edges. There will be obviously a lot of bumps to it though, because what will happen is as you're hitting the weld afterwards with a hammer or getting the body to suck down to the frame in which you're welding to, you're going to manipulate this body and it's not going to want to sand smoothly. So it's going to be pretty close, but mine's coming along pretty well. I should be done. Now I just got to do my cleanup. And that's probably going to be it for me for at least a good couple hours till I get back off of work here. So I'm going to be running late.